today we have already heard, and yesterday also we have heard a lot of talks about APIs and composer packages and stuff that is really easy to integrate into your Flow project. So let's talk about Magento. I've called this talk Local External Service Integration. So let's look at the words. It's local because if you use Magento, you have already a PHP framework. So you don't have to make API calls via REST and HTTP. It's still some kind of external service because you cannot simply install it via Composer into your Flow application. We want to use it as a service and only as a service. So we don't want to have any products in our Neos environment. We don't want to calculate prices. That's what Magento is really good at. And we also don't want Magento to render a single line of HTML. That's what Neos is actually good at, among others. So, about myself, I'm Bernhard Schmitt. I'm working in Hannover at Kolbermoor, and yeah, I really like Neos. So why would anyone do this, integrating Magento stuff? You can look at this from two directions. So you have already a Magento project. Why would you use Neos additionally? Well, if you look at a modern web shop, you already have many features. You want to implement via content, for example, giving advice to your customer which product is the right one to choose before buying it, and that's where you really soon hit the limits of what Magento can do for you, and using Neos for this is really nice. From the other side, why would you use Magento instead of, let's take for example Sphere.io, which is a really good online component? Well, there may be existing Magento products, and you may have customer requirements that simply state use Magento. So a few disclaimers. When we started this project, Magento 2 was still in beta. We still used it. It works fine with the stable version 2. And Neos was on version 2.0. And here are the integration approaches. So the first one, the naive one, was just say Composer require Magento 2 Community Edition, which didn't work out very well since Magento is a separate Composer distribution with a lot of voodoo to install all the packages. So Flow cannot really pass all those files. The reflection framework doesn't work. Auto-loading doesn't really work. So we abandoned that approach. And instead, we found out that Magento components are really happy when rendered within a bootstrapped Magento application. So let's do this. First step would be to check out several separate Composer distributions. So you install a fully functioning Magento next to a fully functioning Neos. Then in your Flow application, you create some sort of bootstrap proxy class that does the Magento bootstrapping for you. The next component you need is some kind of object manager proxy that gives you access to the Magento object manager via the bootstrap proxy. And then you have already won, because you can then inject the object manager proxy wherever you need it and have access to all Magento classes that are there. So that's the ugly part. Now to the fun part. Yeah, you can do whatever you want, actually. So you implement your own persistence layer with repositories the way you know them from Flow. And in the backend, you use the Magento services that do the similar thing. You can do your own anti-corruption layer if you don't like the Magento services. You can start your own presentation layer via TypoScript and Fluid as you are used to it. You can implement data sources for the Neos backend. You can do the Magento checkout via the Flow Form API. That's what we actually did in this project, and whatever you can think of, because you have access to all objects that are there in Magento. So, and the fun stuff about this actually works. So, if we see this one here, so there is actually live product data from the Magento backend rendered via a Fluid template based on a TypoScript prototype, which gets a product via the Flow product repository, which calls the Magento service APIs and gets the stuff from the Magento database. So, and that's practically it, and thank you.
Thank you very much.